Even when I was a little kid, I remember before I could read, looking at my father's handwriting and just being desperate to know what it said, like just desperate to know how to read. And I was so thrilled when I learned how to read. I started writing little stories and poems when I was a kid. One of my first children's novels was called Aruna's Journeys, and it's about an Indian American girl growing up in Ohio. I don't know where I got that idea. And I wrote it partly because I love to read, and I didn't see any books that represented who I was growing up in Ohio. I would see books that were about folk tales taking place in India, or I would see books about, elementary kids, like the Ramona books, which I loved, or Little House in the Big Woods, which I loved. And I think I almost wrote it for my parents because, growing up we had a lot of culture clashes. They didn't understand why I thought I was American. I am American, and they were like, no, you're Indian. And so that struggle, I couldn't ever communicate that properly to my parents. So my parents are immigrants, so they are what I would consider the first American generation, and I'm the child of immigrants. So I say second generation. Some people say that I would be the first generation American, but I like to say second generation because that acknowledges that the immigrant generation is also an American generation. To me, and I'm biased because I am second generation, the transition from immigrant to American is like one of the foundational stories of our country. A lot of us share an immigrant heritage, yet a lot of us identify as American. Where does that transition happen? And I think a lot of times it happens in the second generation. We grow up in this country, we have an American accent. We don't have the accent that our parents have from the ancestral country. We feel ourselves to be American. And sometimes other people looking at us say, no, where are you really from? And I say, I say, I'm from Ohio. No, where are you really from? And they're curious. And so trying to figure out, well, what makes a person American? What does that mean to be American? And I think that is a struggle that a lot of second generation people go through, and that can inform us as we grow older and start to contribute to the society. So this is my new book. It's called These Americans, and it's a collection of 8 short stories and a novella. And again, they're all about Indian Americans. A lot of the stories take place in the Midwest or in Ohio, and they're arranged by the age of the second generation character. So in the very first story, which is called Mirror, the new immigrant mom is giving birth to her American daughter. It's based on the story that my mom told me about my birth. I love the cover of this. So this picture of the mom with the baby, that is based on a picture of my mom holding me. That is my mom holding me. And so then the artist flipped it, and then the idea is that the baby grows up and she has her own child. So, and the other thing that not a lot of people have noticed is that the colors of the mom's sari are kind of like the American flag. And then the American daughter has colors inspired by the Indian flag. So the green and the orange, like that. So that there's the mixing of the cultures. I've written a lot of stories that were based on my life, based on the kind of the cultural clash or melding of, Indian culture, American culture, Indian American, what does that mean? It's hard. And so I feel like there's been a lot of failure along the way, a lot of learning along the way. I think the hardest part for me is getting myself out of the way. Because at first, I think at least for me, I'm putting it on the page and I'm like, oh, this is so impressive. Everyone's gonna be so impressed with me. And that is not what you want as a fiction writer, because you want the reader to be involved with your character. And so for me to be able to learn about who that character is, what they care about, where they are, what they care about in their environment, what they really want. It took a while to get to that point where the reader was engaged and interested and excited, and so it's been a long process. When you read fiction and you become that character, you kind of see the world through that person's eyes, you understand, you empathize. So I think that's a really important part of what I hope the reader will get.